Once a watch lost some of its beauty, so if the dial got old or broken, then it lost its value. Every watch I paint, I try and tell a story about the watch and the origins.
Hi， 大家好，我是 Jenny。如果给你一块表，它是中国的第一块腕表，诞生在1955年，你会觉得它更适合被放进博物馆里，还是继续被戴在手上呢？在海鸥70周年，他们做了一件挺有意思的事儿，复刻了这枚第一块表，并把它交给了一位英国的艺术家 Matt Anderson， 一起完成了一次新的合作。所以今天呢，我就想和 Matt 一起聊一聊，当时间艺术还有不同文化背景相遇的时候，一枚表会被赋予怎么样新的表达。Hi Matt, I'm Jenny. Nice to finally meet you. I've been looking at your artwork for the Seagull project, and I really love it. I'm curious how this collaboration started for you.
So I've been buying and restoring vintage watches for about 2 years, and including a lot of Seagull and other Chinese brands. And I've been experimenting with different artistic styles and different ways of presenting the culture that represent the brands. Every watch I paint, I try and tell a story about the watch and the origins. And this opportunity came by with Seagull, where it was the 70th anniversary, and they invited me to see how I could interpret that on a watch piece.
From your perspective as a British artist and a vintage watch collector, how do you interpret the cultural significance of Seagull?
I have at least 3 in my collection. I bought one that I displayed Chiangmai Shanpine, so that was very simple, nice and elegant. Another, I've painted a series of peacocks, so Kong Shui. And the last one recently, I finished one that was about having a crane bird that was looking out to the future. That was one of the watches I've painted this year. Seagull is really important for vintage watches, but it's not well known outside of China for this. So one of the things that attracted me most was that I know that the Chinese watch industry really started here in the 50s, and it's grown from something that was very small to a huge industry. And I think that what I like about that is it shows how you can grow something step by step. You can take like a craft and build an industry out of it. And I think linking the brand to the social changes, I think for me is what attracts me.
You've spent a lot of time restoring vintage watches through your resurface project. How was creating new visual artwork for a historic reissue like this different from working with existing aged pieces?
Once a watch lost some of its beauty, so if the dial got old or broken, then it lost its value. And I thought, well, it's sad, right? So I went through a process of finding old watches that needed a makeup job, right? And I started to then use the dials as inspiration for different artworks, so to kind of cover it up, but also to retell that story. So the reason I called it Resurfaced is it's all about providing another surface, but also like bringing them back up to the surface. So letting people see these things again, enjoy them, and give them like a new direction, a new meaning. I think there's a real interesting thing where we combine art and mechanical objects. So these are things that are partly functional, partly form. It's partly a thing to tell a time, but it's also something to show your status and tell your story. And when we mix art with that, we're able to take it on a different dimension and a different direction. So for a brand like Seagull, I think you take that mechanical and that technical history and you're repackaging it as a lifestyle and giving it a different meaning, a different interpretation.
When working on the watch face, how did you think about balancing Eastern aesthetic ideas with Western artistic expression?
I try and do something different for every single work, so every work's unique. And so each one, sometimes I'll take a slightly Eastern style aesthetic, sometimes I'll take a more Western style, sometimes I'll take an Eastern philosophy, sometimes I'll have a Western philosophy. With this one, I took more of a 1950s, 60s Chinese aesthetic, but was trying to pick out using a Western concept of time. So looking back, how I reverse the understanding of time and show an entire brand in one small circle. So what I was trying to do with this design was to show the industrial history, but also some of the cultural history. So from an industrial point of view, I've got the gates of the old Seagull factory, and then a rock formation that was in the entranceway. So that represents the beginning of the manufacturing, and it's this red sun. It's a symbol of the new start. On this side, I've got the eastern wind, so meaning symbolizing change, but also Dongfeng for the the previous name for Seagull. And then we've got along the bottom just using the current logo just to create a sea effect, because again this matches what some of the posters and some of the art in the 1950s and 60s, so it's trying to bring forward that, remind people of that kind of feeling.
I love how you use the logo as a pattern for the sea, and I like the meaning of the whole visual represents like the rise of the Eastern world and the rise of the brand.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. I really enjoy our conversation. I really love how quietly the craft, the art come together to make this piece happen, make the old the new piece, and I'm looking forward to more of your work with Seagull.
Thank you.
时间本身没有形状，人类用机械记录它，用艺术理解它，用文化让它被记住。当东方的制表精神遇见西方当代艺术的表达，海鸥表已经准备好承载属于这个时代的新故事了。